Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi, my name is Merdiansyah, and I'm here gonna talk about the paper that the title is Study Abroad Contribution to Critical Thinking and World Citizenships. This paper was created by or written by Amin Nguyen. This paper was written to explain and support the claims made by Rachel Poe and Linda Elder, while the second thesis contends that the intellectual qualities that make up critical thinking are interrelated. The first thesis asserts the creativity code and critical code are intertwined. The goal of the paper is show how study uh, abroad programs improve both creativity and critical thinking, as well as the importance of these gains for achieving the principle of reason and cosmopolitanisms. Cosmopolitanism, yeah. The reports also make our policy and practice recommendation to guarantee the desired intellectual development of study abroad participants in this paper overall goal is to emphasize the value of study abroad in promoting critical thinking abilities, personal growth, academic divisions, professional development, and international understanding. The significant effect that the study abroad programs have on global citizenship and critical thinking, it makes the case that critical thinking and creative thinking are intertwined and study abroad opportunities how people become more creativity and critical thinking in order to achieve the desired result. The paper stresses the value of intellectual development for study abroad participants and offers concrete rules of procedures. Right, just for the introduction or the first part of this talk sessions, and let's jump to the body. I mean the next part. Right. Okay. The study abroad programs have a long-lasting effect on people personal development. Participants express greater self-assurance, improved maturity, higher ability to handle ambiguity, and change socio-political views. This encounter alter the viewpoints given their comprehensions of cultural prejudice and biases and motivate them to make friends from wider range of backgrounds. Studying abroad promotes intercultural growth and more sophisticated way of viewing the world, while also encouraging the discovery of various cultures. Programs also study abroad aid in career growth as well. Studying abroad frequently spark participants' interest in a particular career path and gives them the opportunity to develop skill set that have an impact on their future choice. It improves their capacity to converse in foreign language, utilize it at work, and inspire them to take on volunteer or paid work abroad. Their viewpoints are widened and they have access to more global job options because of these experiences. Studying abroad also promotes intercultural development by helping people become more aware of their own cultural prejudice and attitudes. It stimulates the growth of more varied network of acquaintance and motivates them to adopt a more sophisticated perspective of the world. Program for study abroad should design to improve critical should improve design to improve participant change of assimilating into the culture of the host nation resulting in a more immersive and transformative experience. Okay. The paper also touched on the connection between critical and creative thinking, highlighting how studying abroad improves both to ensure that the study abroad participants experience the desired intellectual growth. It suggests number of policies and procedures. This regulation encourages cultural sensitivity, different concern, and development of intellectual features like intellectual humility and empathy. Right. That's apa ya, the huge point of this paper, and I will tell the sub point of this paper. All right, the sub point of this paper. The first sub point of this paper is the inspirability, criticity of critical. Yeah, the inspiration, criticity, and the concept of inseparability of creativity and criticality refers to the idea that creative thinking and critical thinking are intertwined and cannot be separate from each other. The paper explains that when engaged in sound thinking, whether it is creative or critical, both functions are performed simultaneously. Creative thinking involves the process of constructing or making something new, while critical thinking involves the process of judging, assessing the worth of validity of something. The documents argues that the paper argues that the mature mind cannot from high quality thought without evaluating their worth, which involve a critical component. Similarly, instead that well-reasoned critics cannot be provided without creative effort as envisioning alternative possibility and crafting analyze, the interpretation are essential. In other words, creativity requires critically and critically requires creativity or it's called intertwined. The paper also addresses the objection that the creative or critical distinction align with the divergent or convergent distinctions. It argues that the assumption in tendencies as logicians, mathematicians, and scientists can engage in creative thinking while attempting to solve problems with convergent solutions. Similarly, written composer and artists can engage in critical thinking while attempting to force new ideas and invention through the divergent thinking. This highlight that creative and critical thinking are not limited to specific domains and can coexist in various contexts. Thus, for the inspirability, creativity, and critical, that's the first subpoint. Let's jump to the second subpoint. So the second subpoint is the interdependence of intellectual traits. The interdependence of intellectual traits refers to the idea that the various traits constitutive of critical thinking are interconnected and rely on each other for their development and effective application. According to the Paul Elder model of critical thinking, these traits include intellectual humility, intellectual courage, intellectual empathy, intellectual perseverance, intellectual autonomy, confidence in one reason, and fair-mindedness. For example, intellectual humility involves recognizing the limits of one's own knowledge and being open to different viewpoints. However, to truly practice intellectual humility, one also needs intellectual courage to confront and challenge their own biases and prejudices. Intellectual empathy, another trait, requires the ability to understand and appreciate the perspective of others. This is turn relies on intellectual perseverance as it takes an effort to genuinely consider alternative viewpoint and overcome personal biases. Furthermore, intellectual autonomy, which involves thinking for oneself and holding oneself to consistent standard of reasoning, is closely tied to intellectual integrity. Intellectual integrity requires being true standard of evidence. This trait, along with confidence in reason and fair mindedness, work together to foster critical thinking. The interdependence of these traits means that development and retention of one trait interconnected with the others. For example, Without intellectual empathy, it becomes challenging to exercise fair-mindedness and consider opposing viewpoints. Similarly, without intellectual autonomy, it becomes difficult to maintain intellectual integrity and consistently apply rational standards. That's for the second sub point about the interdependence of intellectual trait. And let's jump to the last sub point of this paper that explain about the diagonal ideal of cosmopolitanism. The diagonal ideal of cosmopolitanism, as mentioned in the paper, refers to the concept being citizen of the world or a global citizen. It is named after Diogenes and Cynic, who was the first thinker to identify himself as a no cosmopolite or citizen of the world. The Diogenian ideal emphasized certain virtues and commitment that exemplify the cosmopolitan mode of being. According to the document, according to the paper, study abroad program contribute to the realization of the Diogenian ideal of cosmopolitanism. Just a study abroad develops critical thinking, traits and habit. It also fosters cosmopolitan virtues and commitment. Believing in a foreign country and adapting to a new culture, study abroad participants gain exposure to different perspectives and ways of life. This exposure helps cultivate cosmopolitan virtues such as concern for others based on the shared humanity and respect for legitimate differences. Cosmopolitan commitments are described in the paper include universal tolerance, pluralism, and fallibilism. Universal tolerance involves accepting and respecting others regardless of their cultural background. Pluralism recognizes that different people and societies may subscribe to different values, and this diversity is neither surprising nor undesirable. Fabulism, also known as atheism humility, epistemic humility, acknowledges that our knowledge is imperfect and subject to revision in the face of new evidence. By engaging with different culture and perspective during study abroad experience, participants develop a deeper understanding of this sorry a deeper understanding of these cosmopolitan virtues and commitments. They learn to appreciate and respect diverse viewpoints, challenge their own biases, and embrace the complexity of the world. In this way, study abroad program contribute to the cultivation and cosmopolitanism and development of global citizens who are open-minded, tolerant, and appreciate of cultural diversity. All right, that's for this point. Let me explain again. There's a point. The first one is talks about the inspirability, creativity, and critical. The second points talk about the independence of intellectual traits, and the last points talks about the diagonal ideal of cosmopolitanism. All right, let's talk about the benefit of this paper. The benefit of this paper is learning in-depth information about how to study abroad. Programs promote critical thinking and global citizenship. The paper emphasized the independence of creative and critical thought, emphasizing how study abroad fosters both of these qualities. It investigates the long-term effects of the studies abroad, intercultural development, professional development, academic commitment, and personal growth. The report also the paper also makes policy and practice recommendation to guarantee the desired intellectual development of study abroad to participant. Reading this paper offers helpful insight into the life-changing benefit of studying broad and significant of developing critical thinking abilities and global citizenships. For the weakness of this paper is not specifically mentioned in the context that is given. The reliance on the self-report data, however, might be one potential drawback based on the information that I gather. The study group participant survey replies are this result may be biased towards social desirability. Participants may underreport bad experience while over-reporting favorable ones, which could be biased the result and cause an exaggerate perception of advantage of studying abroad. Additionally, the study does not include thorough examination of any potential objection or limitation to the key claims made by Richard Paul and Min the Elder. It states barefully that some people might disagree with the inseparability thesis, but it avoids going to integrate detail about these competing opinions or addressing any potential objection to the arguments made. Alright, that's for the last part of section of these talks. This not presentation. I don't like to chat about this paper. Alright, I think I'm gonna end this talk, this session. I mean, okay, I'm Aryo. Thank you so much for listening. Okay, bye bye.